Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine waking up, right? And the headlines are just flashing about this chart-topping artist involved in this really wild incident, arrested, hospitalized, facing charges, all in like a few hours.
Yeah, it unfolded incredibly fast.
That's exactly what happened with Lil Nas X, the Old Town Road guy,
Yeah.
just yesterday. We're getting this from reports. The Times of India has a pretty detailed account. It's full of unexpected twists.
It really is. And what's fascinating here, I think, is just how quickly things can escalate and generate this huge amount of information, especially with someone so famous. So for this deep dive, our mission really is to sift through those key details, mainly from the Times of India, but also checking other sources. We want to give you a clear, concise, and insightful picture of what actually went down. We'll trace it all, from that first police call to the charges, and then maybe connect it to some other things in his journey. Get some context.
Right, exactly. So you'll get the full picture. We're going to dive into the timeline of that Thursday morning. It sounds pretty dramatic. We'll look at why he ended up in the hospital, what charges he's actually facing now, and then, yeah, zoom out a bit, look at his career. And there's that previous health scare, too, which kind of makes this whole thing feel even more complex. So, yeah, get ready for some maybe surprising facts and hopefully a really full understanding of this developing story.
Okay.
So the whole thing kicked off really early, Thursday morning, August 21st, 2025. Los Angeles police, they get a call. Ventura Boulevard, Studio City area. Anyone who knows LA knows that street's usually busy.
Always busy.
And the call, it was pretty strange. Report of a naked man just walking in the street. Can you even picture that scene when the officers arrived?
It's certainly a bizarre start. So they arrived just before 6 a.m., and they find Montero, Lamar Hill, Lil Nas X. Now, the Times of India article clarifies he wasn't actually fully nude. He was apparently walking in the street wearing white underwear and boots.
Underwear and boots. Okay, still.
Still very noticeable, yeah. And definitely alarming enough for people in the area, probably on their way to work, to call the police. Multiple calls, apparently. So right away, the officers are walking into a, let's say, challenging situation, someone clearly in some kind of distress.
And it sounds like things got tense immediately. The police spokesman, Officer Charles Miller, he reported that Lil Nas X actually charged at officers when they got there.
Charged at them. Wow.
Yeah. He was then handcuffed, taken into custody. So not exactly a calm interaction there. What was the next step after that initial, struggle?
Well, it wasn't calm at all, seems like. And
Yeah.
that confrontation, that action, led the officers to make a pretty crucial decision on the spot. Instead of just taking him straight to jail for booking, which might be a standard procedure after an arrest like that,
Right.
they suspected a drug overdose. That was their assessment. So based on that suspicion, they made the call to get him medical help first, transported him directly to a local hospital. And this sequence, the confrontation, the custody, then the hospital, that's a key detail. Officer Miller stressed to CNN, according to the reports, it really highlights their immediate concern was his well-being, suggests that maybe his health took priority over immediate booking, despite the alleged charge. It also, points to the kind of complex calls police have to make sometimes in these really fast-moving, unpredictable situations.
That makes sense. So from the street to police custody, then a detour to the hospital for assessment. And it was only after he was discharged from the hospital that they actually processed him through the booking system. That's quite a whirlwind few hours.
Absolutely.
So what was he formally charged with once, the legal wheels started turning?
Right. Once he was medically cleared, the legal process kicked in. The booking report, and this was cited by People magazine and also in the Times of India piece that indicates he was charged with a misdemeanor. Specifically, the charges were battery on a police officer and misdemeanor obstructing an officer. He was officially booked around 11:22 a.m. and held at the Valley Jail in Van Nuys, which, as you said, is pretty close to where this whole thing started. And yeah, those aren't exactly minor charges, even if they are misdemeanors.
Yeah, misdemeanors sometimes sounds, less serious than felony to most people.
Yeah.
Can you maybe break that down a bit? Like, what do battery on an officer and obstructing an officer actually mean, and why are they still a big deal, especially for someone like him?
That's a great point. You're right, misdemeanor is a less severe category than felony, legally speaking. But these specific charges, still pretty serious. Battery on a police officer basically implies some kind of unwanted physical contact. Even if it didn't cause serious injury, contact with an officer performing their duty is viewed very seriously.
Right.
It's about interfering with them, right? And the legal system takes that very seriously. Then misdemeanors obstructing an officer is similar interfering with their official duties. Both of these, depending on the specifics, the context, his record, could lead to things like fines, maybe community service, probation, potentially even some jail time. And for a public figure like Lil Nas X, even a misdemeanor conviction brings intense public scrutiny, potential damage to his reputation, brand deals, that sort of thing,
Yeah.
plus significant legal costs and distraction. So yeah, definitely not insignificant hurdles he's facing.
It really puts things in perspective.
Yeah.
And this whole dramatic incident, it naturally makes you think about, well, the person at the center of it all, Montero Lamar Hill, Lil Nas X. To kind of grasp the weight of this, we should probably remember his journey, right? And the kind of pressures he must be under. He's only 26. Atlanta rapper, singer, known for, I mean, truly groundbreaking music and this incredibly daring style.
Absolutely groundbreaking.
He just exploded onto the scene, 2018?
Yeah.
With Old Town Road, that song that just completely merged country and hip-hop. Spent, was it a record 19 weeks at #1 on Billboard. It wasn't just a song. It was like a cultural moment. It changed things.
Oh, completely. And that was just the start, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Beyond Old Town Road, which, longest running #1 single ever on the Hot 100. Just incredible. He kept pushing. His first actual studio album, Montero, that came out in 2021, hit #2 on the Billboard chart, got a Grammy nomination for Album of the Year.
Right. Album of the Year nom. Huge.
Huge. And what's really remarkable about him, I think, is his whole style. Not just the music, but visually, socially. He constantly uses his platform to challenge norms, embrace his identity. He's sparked really important conversations, especially around LGBTQ plus representation in spaces like hip-hop, where it wasn't always welcomed.
Definitely.
His choices, his willingness to just be himself, often in really provocative ways, have made him massively influential, especially for a younger generation. But that kind of public persona, being that visible, it comes with, immense pressure. It's a constant spotlight.
That constant spotlight, yeah. And the immense pressure you mentioned. It makes me think about something else the Times of India report mentioned. It noted this past health issue from early this year. Remember he shared that video? Showed him, unable to move one side of his face.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Said he had a loss of control of his face. That detail, when you put it next to this recent arrest and hospital visit, it adds another layer, doesn't it? To understanding maybe what challenges he's dealing with. It feels like more than just a random detail now.
You're absolutely right to bring that up. That past health concern where he shared that video showing temporary loss of facial control, it feels incredibly significant in this context. We don't know the exact medical cause. It wasn't publicly confirmed as far as I know. But symptoms like that can point to various things. High stress, underlying health conditions. Sometimes people speculated about Bell's palsy, which can be stress-related.
Right. Stress.
It just highlights the enormous pressure these public figures are under, where private health struggles, even things that might seem temporary, can suddenly become public news.
Right.
That constant visibility, add potential health challenges on top of that, it can absolutely impact mental well-being and maybe, possibly, contribute to the kind of public incident we're talking about now.
Yeah.
It forces you to consider the often invisible battles maybe going on behind the really dazzling public persona. How personal struggles can crash into the demands of celebrity life.
It's a stark reminder, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even with all that success, that boundary-pushing persona, private struggles can just spill out in these really public, sometimes dramatic ways.
Exactly.
It's just a really powerful intersection of fame and personal vulnerability.
Yeah.
This whole deep dive, it's shown us just how fast a celebrity's private life can become this public spectacle and how the story gets shaped by these rapid-fire events, official reports. It really reminds you of the constant pressure, the scrutiny public figures face, especially someone like Lil Nas X, who's so unique and, deliberately boundary-pushing. His story, as the Times of India laid it out, it's just a snapshot of how quickly fame and maybe personal challenges can collide.
So just to recap everything for you, we've covered this recent incident, August 21st, 2025. Lil Nas X, Montero Lamar Hill, arrested in L.A., started with that strange report, semi-nude man. Then an alleged confrontation, charging at officers, according to police. Then the suspected drug overdose, the immediate hospitalization, and finally the booking on charges of battery on an officer and misdemeanor obstructing an officer.
Yeah.
And we also touched on his, huge career achievements, his cultural impact, and that concerning health scare from earlier this year, all trying to paint a more complete picture of the person behind the headlines.
Right. And as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, the bigger picture implications are quite striking, aren't they? We've seen this rapid sequence. Police call, medical help, arrest, charges, all playing out against the backdrop of this hugely successful but maybe clearly challenged young artist. It just underscores that intense scrutiny, those unique vulnerabilities that come with global fame, especially for artists who, like Lil Nas X, choose to live so openly, so authentically.
Which sort of leads us to a final thought, really, a question for you, the listener. How do we, as people consuming this information, reconcile these sensational headlines, the legal charges, with the, complex reality of an individual's life, especially when things like mental health or personal struggles might be part of the story, even if we don't know the details? What stands out to you about this situation, and what other questions does it maybe spark for you about the lives of people in the public eye, and maybe our own role in how we interpret their stories?